example, saying that I am not going to maintain your servers in your separate data center. So for this, there are some specific data centers available in the market, like IOMart, Rackspace. So these are two data centers which third-party company will be hosting, and see, company A is taking the data from the IOMart or Rackspace data center, and they will be hosting the virtual machines. I mean, these IOMart or Rackspace will be hosting the data centers, and the company A will be installing the client applications and maintaining the client applications or monitoring the client applications and making the URL accessible to the outside world. So this is the second scenario. So see, to maintain the applications in our local environment or in the client IOMAT or Rackspace environment, there might be a problem, or there will be lot of problems facing here and there. So what MNCs or small companies used to do is like to overcome this, Amazon or so to overcome this, what companies has done is like okay. So Amazon has created one same in the sense he has globally selected some of the regions. In the same way, Azure also. Azure is from Microsoft. Software is from IBM. GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, it is from Google. So what these people has done is like initial Amazon, it was the first data center. I mean, web services which we have got. So what they used to do is around the globe, he used to select one specific region. I mean, some specific regions based on the climatic conditions. In different climatic conditions, the Amazon Web Services used to take hundreds of acres or something like 30 acres. For example, in Mumbai, India, he has selected around some acres of land and he has occupied that. So for example, let us share. So around the globe, he has selected some regions. For example, in India, he has selected Mumbai, and in Japan, he has selected one region. In China, where is China? So around the globe, he has selected some regions. So based on the climatic conditions, I could not get the region. And I will give some of the regions in US, North Virginia, Ohio, North California, Mumbai, Singapore, Tokyo, Ireland, Beijing. Sao Paulo. So, so let us say these are some of the regions which he has selected. I mean, Amazon. I mean, I'm completely relevant or saying the thing about Amazon only, Amazon Web Services. So these are the some of the regions which he has selected under different regions or different climatic conditions. So that if people wants to get the data or people wants to launch an instance or DB from this specific region, then he will be able to launch in a single place. So So under North Virginia also, I mean, see, this is the some of the regions in which he will be hosting the hardware specifications. I mean, something like 1 terabyte of GB RAM or something like very in a huge expansion. He used to store the data and he used to maintain the infra, and he will be connecting that to the cloud so that people around the globe will be just creating the Amazon account. Yeah, tell me if you have any doubt. Can anyone please mute the encoded laptop or system, which is over there? Okay. So, for example, these all the regions are existing in around the globe. So he will be giving something like 10 to 15 acres of land in each and every area. Let us say this is in the North Virginia, and he used to give around 15 acres of land, and he used to maintain all the infra, and he will be providing complete climatic conditions. I mean, irrespective of the climate, he will be giving in a I mean, he will provide AC rooms to all the hardware specifications. I mean, RAM or ROM, and he will be connecting the entire these hardware specifications to the internet so that it will be accessible to the outside world. Then what he will do is he will be just asking us to create an account, and he will be asking us to select the region, in which region you want to select the I mean create the instance or create your own environment, so that we will be selecting the regions based on our requirement. See, the advantage of this is like in the North Virginia region, if for suppose if you are selecting the North Virginia region and we were creating our own environment, so, let us suppose say it is in a production environment, then what happens is like when for example, if there were climatic conditions too bad and the servers in North Virginia got affected, then in this specific scenario, what he will do is like he will give us 99.99% of redundancy. That is in the sense, so if for suppose if there was a problem and that occurred, I mean that resulted in a data loss, then he will be giving separate availability zones also. See, along with the regions, he will be giving the availability zones also. The North Virginia is the region which is having highest availability zones. It has around 6 availability zones. So for example, if your data is lost, then he will be taking the data from the next availability zone, and he will be storing it in the same. I mean, for example, let us say yes, yeah. So for example, let us say these are the three availability zones in the same region, in North Virginia region only. So your environment is hosting under US East 1A. I mean this region, this availability zone, your environment is hosting. And for suppose under different climatic conditions or due to bad weather, something is happened and your data is lost, or your URL production environment URL is not accessible to the outside world. Then in this scenario, what he will do is he will just give us a notification in our AWS account. I mean, in the blog, I mean, he will be maintaining one health check dashboard. I mean, like blog in the kind of sense, in the sense, if there was any problem of any region, then he will be just noticing us there. And he will just ask, give us some time. I mean, let us say he asks us to give 1 hour of time. Then within 1 hour, if you are not touching our instances, in the region, I mean, in our US East 1A region, and then he will be restoring the data, entire data. I mean, whatever the data present in our environment or configuration changes in our environment, he will be giving that into again US East 1A. He will be copying it from the East 1C or 1B, and he will be providing us. If for suppose if you are doing anything wrong, I mean, if you are not checking the which AWS is giving under health checks, and you are directly logging into the instances and rebooting the server or doing such kind of stuff, then in that scenario, he's not going to support anymore. Is it clear? Please give a comment in chat. Is it clear, or can I re-explain it once again? Okay. So, in the same way, there will be having some more regions like Ohio, North California, Mumbai. I mean, for example, in our India, under different climatic conditions, see, the entire climatic conditions in US region and Mumbai region is completely different, right? So that is the reason. I mean, this is the one of the example for which he has selected under different climatic conditions. So these are some of the reasons. I will just go to the dashboard and I will clearly explain you once again regarding this. And one more thing is like, apart from this, see, whatever the data, irrespective of the data you are storing in your AWS environment or the cloud environment, I mean, see, that is why we are calling it as cloud environment. Wherever you can launch instance, and within no time you can just in a single click you can reach out to your server. And apart from that, see, in data centers you will be able to host only the environments in the sense only servers, for suppose only hardware specifications. But what about AWS? The advantage of AWS is like, see, without working on any of the open source tools like Ansible or Kubernetes or whatever it might be, if you don't want to work or install it any, I mean, if you don't want to install any of these tools on your machines, then AWS is going to provide all the services on the AWS cloud platform only. Is it clear? The basic advantage of this is AWS is giving end-to-end support. It is giving like in one second. So AWS is giving like IaaS in the sense infrastructure as a service. Next, platform as a service. Next, software as a service. So whatever the service you want to select, you can just select and you can work on. So whatever the service you want to work on, you can just select the environment, and you can there will be separate services in AWS to work on each platform. See, for example, if you want to work on platform as a service, there will be different service in which, I mean, in AWS. If you want to just go to this platform as a service, then AWS is going to take care of your application, I mean application server or web server, along with the host environment, along with the server also. So software as a service is also the same way. Infrastructure as a service is which we are maintaining. See, what we are doing is like, In the infrastructure as a service, we people are just taking the environment in the sense bare instances we are taking from AWS, and then we are installing the applications on the bare instances to reduce the cost. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So I will just open up AWS console and I will show you. So I just now explained about the regions, right? So these are the some of the regions which AWS is hosting in North Virginia, Ohio, California, Oregon, Cape Town. So under different specific, I mean different climatic conditions, AWS is providing as a service. These are the regions, and each and every region there will be availability zones to reduce the redundancy and to get our data restored again if there was any changes. Okay, and apart from that, I will just give a fundamental of VPC. So these are some of the services, and if I just click on services tab, see these are the services which AWS is providing. If you want to just select any of the service, for each and every service, it will be, I mean, there will be separate billing, and that will be given in your account. If you go to my billing dashboard, see this is the current bill of this particular account. Whatever the so what he will do is, if you want to just launch an instance, he will be giving you around 750 hours of time per month. If you are exceeding this 750 hours of time per one T2 micro instance, I mean micro instance, then that will come under specific price and you will be charged. Okay, let us go to. I will just give the fundamental of PPC. Mm. Okay, this is regarding the only, I mean, in a regular board, what we will do is we will just take, I mean, we will be opening our Google Chrome or Google Firefox or whatever it might be, and we will be just giving the URL. So what is the URL in the sense? For example, let us say fb.com or WhatsApp, web.whatsapp.com. So if you just hit the web.whatsapp.com, it will be entering into. It will be entering into the root 53. Under root 53, there will be separate DNS. So I will just clearly explain each and every component what it will do. Please clearly listen. I will give, if you want, after this explanation, I will give one more explanation also. This is the basic fundamental of what I mean for each and every DevOps guy should know. So under if we hit the URL, for suppose let us say under HTTP, see if the URL is like http dot colon slash slash fb.com, then it is going to hit the server, and the server in the sense there will be root 53. Root 53 will be, I mean, root 53 in the sense it will be having separate domain. So domain in the sense it will be stored like. Okay, one more is missing here. Okay, so if we just hit the URL from our web page or from our mobile phone or something, wherever it might be, it will be going to enter our route 53. Under route 53, we will be adding separate domains. I mean, we will be purchasing all these domains from the either AWS or from the third party like GoDaddy.com or Freenome. So there will be separate domain providers. So we have to select one domain or purchase these domains, and we have to store it under route 53. What route 53 is will do like. We have to take all these domains and bind it in a road 53. Then we have to, where is the load balancer? Load balancer. This load balancer, what it will do is like it will take load balancer is nothing but it will be having a DNS entry in alphanumeric value. So that will be stored under road 53. And if we hit the URL from there, route 53, it will be automatically redirecting. I mean, it will be recognizing that something is something I have to redirect, and it will take the request from there and it will enter into our VPC. From here, VPC here, entire component is the VPC, and I just give it a side. But entire component is VPC, and for this VPC we have to attach internet gateway. Until and unless internet gateway is not attached, the VPC is nothing but, I will just give one more explanation. Abbreviations I will write. What all is remaining?
DNS.
Okay, so these are the abbreviations for which are under the diagram. So what we have to do is, when we hit the URL from DNS, it is automatically entering into the VPC. And VPC, if internet gateway is attached, what is that? There is nothing but IGW. If IGW is attached to the VPC, then it is going to be public. That is, in the sense, it is having the access to the outside world. This complete VPC. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud, in the sense you are creating your own environment with your own configuration changes or network rules. So I will you see, after completing entire explanation, you will come to know the actual meaning of, or real meaning of, the virtual private cloud. So we are going to attach internet gateway to VPC. So automatically the DNS entry, I mean the route 53 will just redirect our request into the VPC, and from VPC we will be having route table. Under route table, we will be just adding along with the internet gate. I mean, see, from the diagram itself, you will come to know what we have to add. From the internet gateway must be added to the route table, and then indirectly the subnet. The subnets also has to be added to the route table. Is it clear? See, load balancer is the separate component, and you just forget about NACL and load balancer. Route table must be added to the subnet, and route table must be added to internet gateway. Then the request will be automatically entering into the subnet. It might be of public subnet or private subnet. So public subnet, what does it mean? So if a route table is attached to the public internet gateway, and to the same route table, if a subnet is attached, then it is going to be public subnet. And if a route table is attached, I mean, if a route table is not attached to the internet gateway, and a subnet is attached to the route table, then it is going to be a private subnet. Is it clear, or shall I give once again?
Repeat.
Okay. So if internet gateway is attached to a route table, and public subnet is also attached to the same route table, then the particular subnet will be going to the, I mean, going to be public subnet. And coming to private subnet, see, private subnet is nothing but if subnet is going to be attached to the route table which is not attached to internet gateway, then that will be going to the private subnet. Shall I give once again? Shall I explain once more? Okay, I will give a clear once again in public subnet.
Yes.
Public subnet, in the sense, if internet gateway is attached to route table, then if you are going to attach the public subnet to the same route table, then the public subnet, I mean the subnet is going to be public. That is nothing but, see, in a clear way, if internet gateway is attached to a route table, what does it mean? It is going to be having access to the outside world. So public subnet is nothing but if you are attaching it to the route table indirectly or directly, it is going to be having internet, I mean internet gateway attached to it. So that is nothing but it is having public access, public subnet. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
What about remaining people? See, this is the basic fundamental. If you don't, I mean, if you are not getting me, please let me know so that I can um give once again a clear explanation. Okay, so only few people are responding. Okay, once again, I will give a clear explanation regarding public and private subnet. So public subnet, if route table is attached to a, see, public subnet or private subnet, both has to be attached to route table. So if root table is attached to internet gateway, then the the subnet is going to be a public subnet. If root table is not going to be attached to internet gateway, then the particular subnet will be going to a private subnet. Okay. Next. So the request has come over internet gateway and under root table. So from root table, it has to enter into the public subnet because it is attached to internet gateway. So if it is entering into root table, and if it is from root table, it is going to the public subnet, there will be some hurdles or restrictions. What in the sense, it is having a load balancer. Load balancer is a kind of thing where load is completely balanced on the environments in which are configured to this particular load balancer. See, for example, there is of three types of load balancers. One is classic type load balancer. The next one is, I will give. Network. So these are the three types of load balancers which we are having in AWS. Under AWS environment or AWS world. So classic load balancer, application load balancer, and network load balancer. So what classic load balancer will do is like it will just casually redirect our request to the subnets or instances whichever configured to it. See, load balancer is a thing which we will configure. Our instances will be attached to the specific load balancer, so that if any request is coming into the load balancer, it will automatically balance the load on our systems. See, if continuously, if for example, if load balancer is not configured from root table, the request from here has entered into root table and there is no load balancer. So what it is going to do is like, root table will just throw the request on the subnet or servers whichever present in the public subnet. So it will automatically come into this the public servers. The servers in public subnet. And if it is directly hitting onto server A, let us say this is A. Okay, let us say this is A, this is B, this is C. So if load balancer is, does not exist, so from root table, it is entering into the public subnet, and there will be three servers. It will automatically hit on the servers A, B, or C. Irrespective of the load, the request will be entered into the specific server, so that what it will happen is like it will indirectly we are pushing the load on the servers. Pushing the load in the sense we are giving more load onto the servers. See, for example, continuously load is going on to A server and B server, and there is no single request on C server. So these two servers are going to be hanged, and there will be a problem in our application end. So for this scenario, there will be load balancer. Load balancer, classic load balancer in the sense, the first type. In the sense, it is just to redirect the load irrespective of the request. It is just, in a casual scenario or in a general scenario, it will just redirect the load onto the specific servers. And when we use the network, for example, network load balancer, it will based on the network request, it will see, for example, there will be specific functionalities of each and every server. For example, if server A is taking the request of the web page and server B is taking the request of application server, the dynamic request, and the server C is taking the request of, for example, say monitoring. So when we are using the network load balancer, it will directly give the load onto these ABC servers based on the network request. Network request in the sense, if there is a specific data that has to be retrieved, then server B, it will throw the load on server B. So if we just hit the URL, then it will throw the load on server A. That is nothing but it is going to enter a web page. Okay. So, and coming to application load balancer, see the advantage of to overcome the network and classic load balancer, there is the application load balancer. What this application load balancer is like, so it will analyze the load. It will analyze the load Okay. What this application server will do is like it will analyze the load along with the network traffic also. So based on the network traffic and the load, I mean, it will take, for example, server A. The server A is taking 80% of the load, and server B is taking 60% of the load, and server C is taking 70% of the load. So when we are using the application type of load balancer here, automatically taking and it is analyzing the load on the servers. The server A is having 80%, server B is having 70%, server C is having 60%. So it will analyze the load on the servers and it will redirect the particular request on the servers. So this is the advantage, or this is the what overcome of network and classic load balancer. So everyone, I mean, in a regular scenario, if you want to use, you can use network or application load balancers. But when application server is installed, you have to use application load balancer. Is it clear? Coming to load balancers, or shall I explain once again? Okay, I will explain once again the three types of load balancers. Classic load balancer in the sense it is a load balancer. It will not analyze the load, or it will not route the traffic. It will just take the request from route table. It will just take the request from the route table and it will automatically redirect the load on specific servers in a random way, A, server B, or server C. And coming to network load balancer, it will take the network request. I mean, it will only redirect the network traffic onto these servers, server A, server B, or server C. Coming to application load balancer, what it will do is like it will analyze the network traffic along with the data. I mean, it will analyze the network traffic along with the application load on the server. So, for example, server A is having 80%, server B is having 70%, server C is having 60% of the load. So, when we were using the load balancer of application load balancer, so what it will do is like it will route the traffic. I mean, it will analyze the load on each servers and it will route the traffic. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, next coming to NACL. Okay. So from here it was entered into a load balancer, and the load balancer is going to route the traffic on our subnets, and it will be going into enter into our public subnets. See, always I'm saying only public subnets. And next is NACL. NACL is network access control list. This is nothing but it is a similar kind of I mean, see, the basic difference between the security group and NACL is like NACL is at the subnet level. So for whole subnet, if you want to give specific inbound or outbound rules, see, security group or NACL will be having. I mean, we have to what we have to configure is like inbound rule and outbound rule. Inbound rule in the sense what request has to enter into the server or subnet. What request has to enter into the subnet or server. That is inbound rule. And outbound rule is what request has to come out of the server. That is the outbound rule. So the basic difference between security group and NACL is NACL is at the subnet level. So if you are giving us an NACL, I mean network access control list, inbound rules as only specific IP, then that IP will be configured. I mean only that request will be entering into the specific subnet. In the sense, only I mean at the subnet level it is a security group, and security group is like it is at the instance level. Is it clear? See, I have to see, I have done a mistake here. Okay. So security group is at the instance level and NACL is at the subnet level. So if you want to do any changes in the security group, then that will be going to affect the server end or server level. So for each and every server, you can configure separate security group. And coming to NACL, it is at the subnet level. See, NACL is at the subnet level. If you are configuring NACL and that is going to apply the rule for entire subnet, it might be a public subnet or a private subnet. Is it clear? Difference between NSL and security group? Give a comment so that I can move forward. Or shall I explain it once again? Okay, I will give you once again. So NSL is network access control list. It is at the subnet level. It is at the subnet level. NSL. So if you are giving, see, NSL or security group will be having inbound or outbound rules. I will just open. Are you able to see my AWS dashboard?
No, paint only.
1 second. Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I'm telling. Security group in the sense security group or network access control list will be having inbound and outbound rules. So this is the inbound rule and this is my outbound rule. So what we are giving is we are giving the conditions in our inbound rule and the conditions in outbound rule. And coming to network access control list. Here. Okay. So this is regarding security group. Security group is having the inbound and outbound rules. Inbound rule, outbound rule. And coming to NSL. NSL is also having inbound rule and outbound rule. So So NACL, basic difference between NACL and security group is like NACL is at the subnet level. So if you are applying or giving a rules, then that is, I mean, that will be going to affect the subnet. And if you are going to give a rule in a security group, then that will be going to affect at the instance level. It is not at the subnet level. See, some couple of instances or a number of instances can be launched under a subnet. subnet. I mean, under VPC, there will be subnet. Under subnet, we will be having instances or databases. Is it clear? If you have any doubt, please let me know.
Hello, Vasu, can you hear me?
Yeah, tell me.
What is subnet level and instance level?
Yeah, I will tell you. So subnet in the sense, yeah, tell me. So subnet is at subnet level in the sense subnetwork. See VPC, for example, if our VPC IP is like, let us say 10.0.0.0/16. So while we are launching our VPC, we have to give the network range. Network range in the sense we have to give a specific range to our own virtual private cloud network. So for example, this is my network range of VPC. Then if you are going to, if you want to launch subnet under the same VPC, then subnet. If you want to launch the subnetwork under the same VPC, then in the, I mean, in this range only you have to launch the subnet also, or else it will be coming out of the VPC and it will be launching somewhere else. So
Okay.
for the reason I just launched, I mean, I have created a separate IP range of 10.1.10.0.1.0/24. So that is nothing but it is in this specific range of the VPC. So under the same VPC of this series, I'm launching the subnet 1 and I'm launching the subnet 2 also. So subnetwork. I mean, subnetwork in the sense it will be having couple of, I mean, for example, if you want to know how many IPs will be configured under the subnet of netmask 24.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah. So, for example, I have just launched a VPC with the specific configuration of 10 series, 10.0.0.0.
మరి సార్ మీరు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ సార్ సార్ చేసే టెక్నీషియన్ కొంచెం
Am I audible now?
yes,
Okay. So I'm launching a VPC with the specific range of 10 series, and I want to know what is the subnet range. I mean, this is the subnet range I have selected, and I want to know how many instances will be created, or how many instances or how many IPs will I get under the subnet range of 10 series of /24. So for the reason I just give 2 to the power of 32 minus 24 equal to 128. So 128 number of IPs can be generated in subnet 1, and coming to subnet 2 slash 28. So 2 to the power of 32 minus 28, that is nothing but 16. So 16 number of IPs will be available in the subnet 2 range. So this is nothing but these entire IPs will be, I mean, under the slash. Am I audible now? Is it clear?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, audible.
Okay. So, for example, if this VPC range is having for suppose 256 range of IPs, then I am going to launch two subnets under the same VPC. So the first subnet will be having 128 IPs, and the second subnet will be having subnet will be having 16 number of IPs. So coming to
Hello.
yeah,
You're not audible now, so
am I audible now?
yes.
So coming to the network,
Audible.
public subnet and private subnets. So is everyone clear till NSCL and security groups?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. The difference between the public subnet and private subnet is nothing but public subnet is going to have access to the outside world, and I mean, say users or the data can be retrieved from public subnet. I mean, whatever the instances present in the public subnet, and difference between the private subnet is nothing but it is not going to have access to the outside world. So this is the basic difference between public and private subnet. And coming to the instance levels. So we are going to launch instance under public subnet. Then if you want to reach the server, then it is automatically using port number 22. That is nothing but SSH. See, for SSH port number is 22. So under port number 22. See, Pranav, I have given a comment here like 2 to the power of 32 minus 24. 32 is the maximum range. I mean, 32 minus, this is nothing but slash, after slash we have numbers, right? This is nothing but this is network mask, net mask. So this value can, I mean, by saying at this net mask value, we can estimate the IPs by giving the 2 to the power of 32 minus 24, something like that. I mean, there will be separate, I mean, network guys will be taking care of the CIDR range. I mean, this particular range of the VPC or the subnet range. But if you want to take a clear explanation on this, but it will take at least 30 to 40 minutes of class. Okay. So if you are launching under a server under a public subnet under the and you are going to reach the server using port number 22 SSH, then that will be possible only under public subnet. If the same instance is launched under private subnet, then that is not going to happen because it is not having the access to the outside world, because it is not having, I mean, this private subnet is not having attached to, I mean, this is not attached to the internet gateway. And coming to DB section, see DB, this DB databases will be always in private subnet only, not in the public subnet.
Okay.
So from the see from the top, I will after okay. So when we hit the URL from our laptop or somewhere else, It is entering into the DNS, I mean route 53, and it is entering into the internet gateway, I mean our VPC, and from there route table and load balancer is taking the load kind of thing, and it will distribute the load along the subnet, I mean along the servers. And here we are talking about public subnet and private subnet, and enter DBs will be having, I mean enter DBs will be in private subnet only, not in the public subnet. This is the basic fundamental of a databases. The data everywhere, I mean in each and every environment, databases will be in private subnet only. If you want to log into databases, then what you have to do is like first you have to, from the diagram itself it is clear that you have to log into the subnet of instances, and from instances you have to log into the databases. There is no access to the databases directly. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, the see whatever the request I am talking about here is, it is coming to the public subnet only. It is not entering into the private subnet. So for suppose if you want to make an access and give an access to the private subnet, in this scenario what we are doing is like we are going to attach a NAT gateway. NAT gateway is nothing but network address translation. So network address translation, what it will do is like it will be attached indirectly to the public subnet and private subnet, and it will route the traffic. Route the traffic in the sense it will pass the traffic from public subnet to private subnet, so that the instances in private subnet will be reachable. I will give once again. I will explain once again. NAT gateway. NAT gateway is nothing but network address translation. What it will do is like it will take the traffic, network traffic. I mean, it will pass the network from public subnet to private subnet, so that instances in private subnet will also be in accessible mode. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So for suppose if our request, if you want to route our request to private subnet, in this scenario, see the basic scenario of a private subnet is like, see I might be missing some steps or some info, but if you people are asking me, then I can get into it. See, for each and every, I mean, based on the environment or based on the requirement, what people do is like they will replicate the servers. They will replicate the servers in the sense they will duplicate the servers which are present in the public subnet. See, this private subnet is not having any access, and it will be in lag. I mean, it will be in lag around 5 to 6 hours of time. For example, say 6 hours of time, and see whatever the application request it is entering into the public subnet, this will be giving, I mean it is taking access, and it will automatically redirect, and it will, I mean what I want to say is like it is giving end-to-end control to the user. End-to-end control in the sense it is accessing the web page, and it is redirecting the request, and it is retrieving the data from database. What in case if these servers, I mean for example, let us say these are some of the important servers, and these servers got crashed. In the scenario, if these servers are got crashed, then what people will do is like they will make the private subnet as public, and they will access this from the outside world. I mean, so that now this is going to be a private subnet, and this is going to be a public subnet, and the servers in private subnet are in a normal state, and it is lagging with a time hours of, I mean time difference of 6 hours. That is not a problem, so they can access the servers without any issue. So this is, I mean this is one of the case in which people will be, I mean environment will be having a private subnet. Is it clear? Okay, I will explain once again. So I just give a partition like a private subnet and public subnet. See, for example, public subnet is if working from the past 16 or 17 months and there were some bugs in this public subnet. I mean, the instances present in the public subnet. Let us say some ethical hacker had some kind of, I mean, he has put some stuff into the instances which are present in public subnet, and the instances are not working in a proper manner. When they hit the URL, it is taking approximately 3 to 5 seconds of time, and the request is not coming in a proper way. Then what people, I mean, what the infra guys or network guys will do is like they will route the traffic from public subnet to private subnet. In the sense, they will make this public subnet as a private subnet and the private subnet as a public subnet, and the automatically the request from the URL, I mean from the internet gateway or route table, it will be automatically redirected onto the private subnet, so that there will be no problem. I mean they will repair the servers or they will recreate the servers in the public subnet, I mean existing private subnet, and the traffic will be routed in this, and traffic will be routed
Exactly,
into.
sir.
Give me a second, I will reconnect once again.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
So, see, whatever I have explained regarding the public subnet or making these partitions and routing the traffic into private subnet is under different circumstances or different scenarios. So that is, I mean, that will be useful under in a different case. In a different case, in the sense, in a regular, in a real world, it will be useful. But as of now, when coming to this VPC section, this is not going to happen. So what we have to do is like when see public subnet and private subnet, there will be instances, and in the private subnet there will be databases. So when we want to connect to the subnets which are present in the private, I mean which are not exposed to the outside world, which are not connected to the internet gateway. So in this scenario, like we will be going to install NAT gateway that is available under AWS dashboard itself. So you can just select under EC2 section and NAT gateway. So under NAT gateway, if you select and if you configure it, in the sense we are configuring it under public subnet and attaching the NAT gateway to the private subnet. Is it clear? We are configuring it under public subnet and then we are attaching it to the private subnet.
Okay.
So that is nothing but we are making the network to pass from public subnet to private subnet. So instances in the private subnet is also under reachable mode. Is it clear?
Yes, master.
Okay. So I will share my AWS dashboard and I will show you the configurations. I mean configurations in the sense I will just share how we can configure the subnets or see, whatever I have explained in the diagram, I'm going to just show you guys that in a such a way we are configuring it so that you can try on yourself about the VPC. So if you want to create the VPC, just enter into it and give a create VPC. Then it is going to ask you the network range here. So you have to provide the network range. Or suppose let us say 10.0/16. So I'm not going to create any VPC here. Okay, let us create them. The North California, right? Okay. So my VPC is created. Now what I have to do is like I have to create internet gateway. See, first of all, you people take a snapshot of this diagram. We'll share the screen so that you can just say whatever you have to do. Please take snapshot of this diagram so that you people will be clear while configuring it.
Yes, master.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So now we have created VPC. Now we are going to create an internet gateway. Create internet gateway. VPC. Attach to VPC. So it is clearly asking to attach a VPC. Now I am going to attach my VPC. Now first to VPC is created and internet gateway is created and got attached. Now what we have to do is we have to go to root table. Create table. VPC. Is it clear? I have just created a root table again, and while creating the root table, I have selected the VPC which I have created just now. I'll show the name also. The VPC which I have created just now, and I'm just entering into the root table routes. Now I'm going to attach internet gateway to it. Edit route section and edit route section. Here we have to give the 00 traffic and target as internet gateway. Is it clear?
Yes, master.
Then what you have to do is like subnet, create subnet, VPC. So in this specific range only, I have to create my own subnet. So for example, let us say give subnet name as public subnet. Okay, public subnet, and see the range has to be under 10.0.0.0/16. For suppose, I mean in this 10 series only, I am going to give. I selected the VPC. I'm going to 1.1.1/24. If I just go and click and create subnet, it is not going to create because it is selected under this VPC. Let us create. See, CIDR address is not within CIDR address from VPC. So under this specific address only, I mean under the network range of this IP only, our subnet range has to be, so that our subnet will be under the same VPC, or else it will be under different section.
Okay.
So what I have done is I have just created subnet saying that it is under the specific VPC. So it is under the VPC of the custom VPC which I have created. Next, what I am going to do is you have to enter into root table section, edit root table association. We have to add our root table. See, whatever there in the diagram, I'm just doing that. We have to add our root table to the subnet. So I'm going to add this root table, VPC root table, which I have created, my subnet, the subnet, public subnet, which I have created just now. So that is in the case, I mean, that is nothing but this root table is having these specific rules. I mean, it is having locally and it is attached to the internet gateway. In the sense, my my subnet is also going to be in a private mode, public mode. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So if you select a different route table, for example, say, select the different route table, then it is not going to have an internet gateway access. So I mean, the subnet which I have created is not going to have an access to the outside world. So for the reason, created a VPC, I mean, a route table, and added the rule internet gateway. Now my subnet is going to have an access to the outside world. This is the subnet, and I'm adding the route table here, VPC route table, which I have created now. And the routes, I mean, the targets under this root table or the rules under this root table are the internet gateways attached to it.
Sir, CIDR IP address ఎవరిస్తారు సార్?
See that IP range you will get it from the customer. I mean customer or network people. People will be taking care of the CIDR range, but better to know better to have a knowledge on CIDR range.
Okay.
I mean, if I have a session or if I have time in upcoming days, so that I can give a clear explanation of CIDR range also. But as of now, there is no time.
Okay, sir.
Okay, what we have done is we have created one subnet, one route table, one internet gateway, and one VPC, and we have configured all these. And now what I am doing is I am going to launch an instance. See, take a look at the instance creation so that you will be familiar to it while creating an instance. Just go to EC2 and whatever the configurations we have to do, please listen or please observe it carefully so that if you have any doubt, I will explain you it here itself while doing the practical session. Launch instance, and AWS Marketplace is having some other instances which are created or which are published on AWS. So Ubuntu or Red Hat or Linux or macOS, whatever it might be, they will be selling their disk file or image file over here, and if you are selecting it, we have to pay. So what I'm doing is I'm just selecting. See, these are all the images which they are selling on our AWS platform. So I'm going to select CentOS image, or for a suppose let us say Ubuntu. Let us go back. Cancel. Search here Ubuntu. Ubuntu 18.4 version. So, see, while explaining regarding the data center session, at that time, so I just explained you there will be specific configurations. All this will be available in the specific region, right? So I have selected the North California region here. If I want to choose some other region, for suppose Mumbai, then it will be automatically moving me to Mumbai region. Or suppose if I want to move to some other region, so let us say Frankfurt. So under Frankfurt region, I'm just selecting the same image as Ubuntu 18.4. See, in North California region, 20.4 version is not available. In the Frankfurt region, it is available, Ubuntu 20.4. Let us select it. So these are all the configurations. T2, these are the network, CPU and memory configurations of our EC2 instances, whichever are hosting in Frankfurt region. If you want to select some other instances, let us say if you select this region T3.2x large, this will be having 8 cores of CPU, 8 CPUs in the sense 8 cores. Our laptops, our i3 processor laptop will be having only 2 core. If we are taking i5 processor, then it will be having 4 core processor. Let us say i7, then it will be having 8 processors, 8 CPUs. 8 CPUs in the sense one will be taken by OS, and the remaining one, if you want to launch, for suppose if you want to launch a virtual machine in your i7 processor laptop, which is having 8 core CPUs, then you can launch maximum of 5 to 6. You can leave one for some other applications, and 1 will be taken by OS, and 5 of your virtual machines or instances can be launched on your i7 processor. If you are taking i5 processor, then only 2, maximum of 2 can be launched, because to reduce the load on our machine, I mean our laptop. So these are some of the instance types which AWS is providing us, and this will be all hosted in AWS Frankfurt. And coming to region also, I will just show you the what are the available zones in this Frankfurt region. Okay. So how many instances do you want to launch? I just want to launch only one instance.
Sir, one CPU, one memory. One CPU means one core. One memory means, hello?
Yeah, 1 second. This is the RAM. This is the processor. Processor in the sense CPU processor core count. If you give MS info under run command of your laptop, then you will get how many cores your laptop is having.
Okay. Memory means RAM. CPU means how many cores are there?
Cores. Core
Okay,
count.
sir.
Okay, coming to the number of instances, if you want to launch 1,000 instances, you can just give the number as 1,000 here. But that will be under, again, the billing section will be involved. And there will be 4 types of instances. Purchasing option, so request spot instances, I mean spot instances, reserved instances, dedicated instances, I mean dedicated host, or one more is reserved, spot, dedicated, and one more I could not remember it. Okay, there will be 4 types. 3 I could remember: spot instance, reserved instance, dedicated host, and on-demand instances. So these are the 4 types: on-demand, spot instances, reserved instances, and dedicated hosts. So under this, reserved instances will be having minimal cost. So people will be selecting reserved instances, and under spot instances, if you want to give spot instances, it will launch the instance, and whenever there will be some other requirement or some other request from AWS, then it will automatically take the spot instances, and it will, if you want to launch it, it will automatically launch at that particular point of time. And coming to the network, see, it is having only one VPC. We are selecting VPC under, sorry, I have selected not right.
సార్ ఇక్కడ మనం నంబర్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ దగ్గర 1 సెలెక్ట్ చేసాం కదా, ఇన్ కేస్ మనకి అట్ ఏ టైం 10 కావాలంటే 10 పెడితే 10 వచ్చేస్తుంది సార్, సేమ్ ఏఎంఐ తోటి.
Yes, 10 instances will be created.
ఓకే సార్.
I have selected the VPC which I have created, and the subnet also, public subnet I have created here. And I am enabling the public IP, private IP. I mean the instances will be having public IP and private IP. Public IP will be accessible to anyone who is not configuring the VPN. VPN is virtual private network. If you are not configuring VPN, then we have to access the instance using public network. Public IP. Public IP is the dynamic IP. See, for example, if you are rebooting the machine or stopping and starting the machine or server, then public IP will be changed for each and every stop and start of the server. Private IP is the static IP, or it is the same IP which a server is having until and unless server is terminated. If you are creating a server, then it will be having one private IP, and the server IP will be same until and unless you are terminating or deleting it. And public IP It is the dynamic IP. It will be changed for each and every reboot or restart of the server. And if you are selecting shutdown behavior as stop, then if you stop the server, then it will be in a stopped state. If you want to terminate, then if you shut down the server, it will be terminated. And where is that one more? See here under North California region, I have created a subnet under US West 1C. So that is the reason it is taking the region. I mean availability zone as 1C. For example, let us go to subnets, public subnet. See, these are the regions. 1C is the region which I have selected. For suppose let us create one more and show you people. Availability zone preference. If we go here, then 1B and 1C are the regions which are present in North California region. Is it clear about the regions? I mean availability zones. Under North California region, there will be, irrespective of the region, there will be availability zones in which to reduce the redundancy, or if you are choosing to restore the data, then automatically the data will be restored from the specific availability zones, and it will be restored onto your systems under different circumstances. So I just told you that under North California we have 6, right? Default. Yeah. So this is having 6 availability zones. US is to 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. So these are the maximum number of availability zones which AWS is having only under North Virginia region, and in the remaining regions there will be only 2 or 3 maximum, at least till 5. But this is having 6 availability zones. Okay. So my I just created a subnet under US East 1, US West 1C. So that is the reason it is automatically selected under this 1C, and my instance is also going to launch under the same available zone US 1C. And coming to the EBS section, this is the regarding hard disk or SSD, the storage of my server which I am going to launch now. For example, if I say it has 100 GB, then it is going to launch 100 GB of instance. So let it be 8 GB, and they take different types of volumes also. General purpose SSD and provision, and we use magnetic standard HDD. This is nothing but the regular normal HDD which we are using right now. But SSD, coming to SSD, this is solid state drive. It will be having a faster response, and the reboot of the machine also doesn't take more time, and it will give a very good response if you are using this type of SSD disk. I mean, it might be on our local machines also. See, input output per second IOPS. This is 1000 by 3000. If you want to change this also, we have to go to AWS and we have to request them regarding the same, saying that we want IOPS as 1000 by 3000. Then they will be changing it accordingly. See, they will be giving only the default configurations on our each and every AWS account. And if you want further configurations, then you have to raise a ticket to AWS saying that we want such a configurations, or we want so and so. Then they will be giving you that specific configurations. For example, under instance, some of the instances are in disabled mode. If you want to enable this, then you have to raise a ticket to AWS saying that I want these instances, please enable me, so that they will be enabling you these instances. And whenever you want to launch, you can launch these instances in the next go. And coming to the add tag, this is nothing but to recognize your server. So for example, if you are having at least 100 servers in your environment, and you don't know which server is for what, then you can just give a tag here, and you can recognize your servers. Coming to the security group. So please listen carefully. I am just giving a brief description of this. If I give all traffic, then irrespective of the port number or irrespective of, see, for a server, if you want to log in, then it will be of two types, the IP address and the port number. If you are logging into using the different port, then it will be not accessible. Here is that HTTP. Okay. So if I select HTTP port, then only under the 80 port, you will be able to access the servers. And this is the 0. If I give the specific range of my, let us say, what is my IP? See, this is my gateway which I have connected, I mean my router gateway. So if I just give this IP here, where is that? If I just give the IP here, then only this, I mean the request coming from this gateway only will be entering into this specific security group. I mean the security group is going to allow only this IP range. Is it clear? And for suppose if I am giving 0.0 and if I'm giving all entries as 0, that is nothing but I'm going to, I mean, I'm allowing all the IPs, all the gateways or whatever it might be around the globe to log into my system and do whatever the stuff they want. And for this, I am just giving only SSH under port 22 only. You can, I mean, any server can log in to this server using port 22. For a server to log in, port range is very important. And HTTP, for HTTP, the port range is 80, and for HTTPS it was 443. 443. This is nothing but 443 in the sense a secure web access. That is nothing but, see, you can see here it is under logged. Connection is secure. So if you want to get the connection is secure, then you have to launch a SSL certificate, secured socket layer certificate. I mean, see, like third-party vendors will be providing you. So port range is in the sense, see, I just accessed this web page. I mean, the current web page which I am working now under the port of 443. If I just click on here, see, HTTPS. HTTPS in the sense under port number 443. 443 only I am able to access this page. For suppose if let us say some other request. See, each and every page is having web access. I mean, secure port connection is secure. I mean, that is nothing but they have configured their own SSL certificate to this domain. So if we configure SSL domain, then our connection is going to be secure. I don't have an example to show you. And in the similar case, HTTPS port number is 80 and SSH it was 22 and DB, I will just show you DB also. It was 5432. So to log on to the PostgreSQL DB, you have to use the port range of 5432. This is the default port range, and if you want to change the port range, you can change. And custom port also is available. You can just select custom TCP role, and you can give the whatever the port range you want. You can give here for post 22, or if you are accessing the Jenkins server, then 8080. Then it will be accessing only under port number 80, and is it one more? RDP connection is nothing but remote desktop connection. See, we are logging into the servers using putty or mobaxum, something like that, right? So in a from if you want to log into the Windows server, then we will be using RDP connections, remote desktop connections. So for that, the port range is, the port number is 3389. And MySQL, yeah, for MySQL DB, it is 1433. Is it clear? See, these questions will be asked in interview. What is the port range for, what is the port of HTTP or HTTPS, SSH, or the DB which you are using? It might be of some other DB also. So they will be asking you. These are the different port ranges, and I'm going to select SSH, review launch. It is giving a warning like I just given port number 22 with all IPs open. See, it is giving your security group launch wizard 3 is open to the world. VPC I have selected, subnet selected, shutdown behavior terminated. Okay, storage I have selected as 8 GB. Okay, see, I have given the assign of public IP as yes. If I'm giving this as no, then I'm not going to get a public IP. In the sense, I'm not going to reach my server. So what I have done is, I have created VPC, Internet Gateway, subnets, route tables, and then I have configured the security group also and just launched the instance. Now I'm going to connect to the server. Let us wait until we get a hill status as 2x2 pass. Here we will be getting it. Status check.
వాసు సార్
Yeah, tell me.
సార్ ఇందాక మై ఐపీ అని ఇచ్చారు కదా, అలాంటప్పుడు ఓన్లీ మన ఐపీ తోటే లాగిన్ అవుతాం కానీ ఆ సర్వర్కి అదర్ ఐపీ తోటి లాగిన్ కావడానికి ఛాన్స్ ఉండదు సార్?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it is too bad to pass. So we are going to get the info under detail section. This is the public IP, this is the private IP. This IP will not be changed until and unless instance is terminated. And instance type due to micro. Elastic IP will tell you. So it is just telling us which VPC you have selected. I mean, which under which VPC the server is existing and which subnet. Public subnet I have created, VPC I have created with the name. And this is the MI which we have selected while launching the instance. And the launch time also. And this is the key pair. Coming to security. This is the security group. And inbound rule is 22. Outbound rule is all traffic is open. Network. It is under available zone of US 1C. See, AWS is giving a default monitoring tool like a Cloudwatch. I mean, Cloudwatch is the monitoring tool which AWS is providing us. So for some metrics in the sense for to calculate some health checks, it is giving free. But if you want to configure of your own, then it will be charged. So for suppose CPU utilization on this server is very low. So that is why it is giving like there is no data available, or these are some of the metrics which AWS is giving for each and every instance. And if you want to configure of your own, then that will be different. Okay, let us log into the server using the public IP. Yeah, drops. What happened? Sorry. So it is asking us to, are you able to see my screen, the putty session? Are you able to see my screen? Putty session terminal?
No, sir, I am not
No, Vasu.
visible to putty software.
Okay, once again. I'll just share once again.
No, it's visible.
Okay, so what we have done is we have just configured or customized our VPC configuration with the root tables or subnets, and we have just launched the instance. And now the instance, it is asking to give us login as in the sense that is nothing but the instance is under the accessible mode, or it is out exposed to the outside world. So it is under the public subnet. So we are able to access to the server. So that is nothing but the subnet which we have selected is under public, and we are able to launch the instance under public subnet. Now, okay, VPC. I will just create one more subnet under North California, right? North California. Create subnet. VPC selected. Subnet. I'm giving the range again here. 2.0/28. So I'm going to select under 1C, the same region, private subnet. Okay. Okay. This is the private subnet under route table. There is no route table attached. So we have to create saying that it is a private route table. Create subnet. I am attaching the private route table. Save. So please see the diagram. From the diagram, I just created the private subnet. Along with the private subnet, I created a private route table. In the sense, private route table is not attached to any of the internet gateway. Am I clear? Okay, I will explain once again. So,
The root tables are not attached to.
sorry,
Last year you were doing something, right? Root tables are not attached to.
I just created route table and I just created the subnet also. So I just, so this is the private subnet I have created just now, and I just attached the private subnet to the route table, not attached
Your
to any.
voice is breaking, Vasu. Hello.
You tell me.
Your voice is breaking also. Hello.
Is it clear now? Am I audible
Yes,
now?
it's better than last time.
Okay, okay.
Yes, Master.
So what we have done again, we have just created one more subnet, that is the private subnet, and we created the route table. The route table is not attached to any of the instance here. So I'm going to launch an instance from the subnet, from the same subnet, I mean the private subnet, and let us see what happens.
Hotspot, mobile.
Okay. Now we are going to launch an instance in private subnet. If you have any doubt, please let me know so that I can explain you here. Instance is under private subnet. So we have launched an instance under private subnet for which internet gateway is not attached to root table. So I'm just trying to connect to the server using share my screen. Okay, so that is the same case where my putty session is not trying to log in because it is under private subnet and I am not able to reach the server. So for this case, what I will do is I will just go to EC2 again. NAT gateway, network address translation. See the diagram if you have any doubt. I'm going to configure the network address translation gateway. Here we have to select the public subnet. So to pass the network from public subnet, we are selecting the public subnet here. Now we have to go to the root table. The root table which we have created for private subnet is private root table. Select it, routes, edit root. Instead of internet gateway, we have to add here. We have to add NAT gateway. NAT gateway. Save routes. Close. So now I'm again trying to reach my server. Which one is the old one? Private. So okay. Sorry, you are not able to reach my screen, right? Okay. Sure. Okay. So I just try to log into my server, which is available in the public subnet. Hyphen user. Now I am copying the key pair value. So I will share my screen again. Stop share. See, this is the summary. So this is the private IP of the server which is available in private subnet, private IP. So when I entered here, okay, when I entered here, so if I give IP space here, so this is giving the IP address of 10.0. Permission denied.
It is 127.0.0.1, right?
Yeah, once again, it's not responding. Okay, okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
See, I just logged into the server, which is the public subnet. First, from here, I am trying to reach private subnet. What is the user here? It's due to have user.